Right, second video of the day, YouTube, and it's the second fight that I want to preview ahead of this weekend's action. This one is involving a bit of a controversial, a bit of a Marmite figure in Chris Eubank Jr. And he's facing Dmitry Chudinov of Russia for Chudinov's interim WBA middleweight title. For those of you who can't really keep track of the belts, basically it's not really a title at all. It's just an interim championship where longer term someone will eventually get a crack. Simple as that. The WBA already has a super champion. The WBA already has a regular champion. And then the interim's like, you know, the bronze medal position, if you like. So you can't really call this a world title fight in any shape or form, regardless of what some people are trying to say. For me, it's more of just like a rankings fight or a number one contendership fight to go on further, as Chris Eubank Jr., as well as his dad, Chris Eubank Sr., are convinced that they're going to get the Golovkin fight in the near future, and they think they're going to beat Golovkin. Well, he's confident he's going to beat Golovkin already, but that's a different video for a different day. Just about the up-and-coming fight this weekend. Like I say, it's an interim title fight. It's not a world title fight. It's just a joke title fight, basically. What do we know about Dmitry Chudinov, right? Let's have a look at this. I mean, the guy's actually fought in the United Kingdom before twice. I can't remember who he fought the first time around, but last time he fought one of our, I can't even class him as a journeyman, but he fought Max Maxwell, who's a name that a few people might recognise. He's did he fight Martin Murray? He might have fought Martin Murray at one point. I'm sure he did. He's fought a few other contenders in the UK at some point. He's lost more than he's won. That was the last time that Chudinov was in the UK, when he fought Max Maxwell. Since then, he has scored one decent victory, in my opinion, over an up-and-coming Danish super middleweight who dropped down for that fight. Who was against Patrick Nielsen, who I believe is with Soland Promotions, Kelly and Nisa Soland Promotions Group. And he's very much been touted as the next big thing in Denmark. And for all beans, Chudinov scored a good victory. Although Chudinov was on home soil, that fight was in Russia. I can't say I've watched the fight either. I'm only going on a report of the fight and the scorecards in hand. But apparently it was a deserved victory from Chudinov from what I've read. So I'll just go with that and go on from there. Now, so we know Chudinov, he's not very experienced like Chris Eubank Jr. He's only had 16 fights in total. He's drawn to 114, 9 by way of stoppage. And then obviously Chris Eubank Jr.'s record is a little bit better than that. Of course, having lost one on there by a split decision to Billy Joe Saunders towards the back end of last year. But let's, it's a bit of a tricky one to call this fight, really, because it really depends for me which Chris Eubank shows up, right? Back in, I think it was November. I'm sure it was November when Chris Eubank Jr. and Billy Joe Saunders fought. I think I was one of the only few people around saying that, yeah, Chris Eubank Jr. is going to win that. People just thought that. A lot of people thought Billy Joe had too much experience. He was the better boxer. A lot of people only really gave Eubank Jr. kind of a puncher's chance. They didn't think that he would have the experience or the skill to outbox over 12 rounds. I thought, Eubank Jr., I think Jr. does have that. I think he does have it in his locker. And I think he can. What really annoyed me about that fight in November was if Chris Eubank Jr. had started fighting before the 6th round, he would have won that fight quite convincingly, I think. No disrespect to Billy Joe Saunders. I've got a lot of time for Billy Joe Saunders as well. And I do really wish Billy Joe Saunders all the best. Because I'm sure he's going to have a really tough up-and-coming world title fight. He's obviously going to be taking on the winner of Andy Lee versus Peter Quillin for the WBO middleweight title. And I've got Quillin winning that title back against Andy Lee. I just don't think Lee will have enough skill or enough about him to beat Quillin, although that'll be a video for nearer that fight to go into more detail. So, all the best to Billy Joe. I don't think he beats Quillin either. Now, Eubank Jr. should have beat Billy Joe Saunders in November. It's his own stupid fault and his own stupid game plan, the fact that he hasn't, and it's the fact that he's not got the world title shot coming next. But when Eubank Jr. sits there in a press conference and he's calling out Golovkin, even though his opponent's just there for this fight. So you got Dmitry Chudinov sat right there, or stood right there, whatever. Okay, you know, and then Chris Eubank Jr. is there like, yeah, this guy's first. Then I'm going to do Billy Joe in a rematch, and then Golovkin's mine. It's crazy. That is crazy. How can you stand there and make stupid claims like that? How much of an idiot are you just going to make yourself look in the long term? For starters, Billy Joe Saunders will not give Chris Eubank Jr. a rematch anytime soon. Right? He should, like I said, Billy Joe has just took a lump sum of money to stand aside while Andy Lee and Quillin fight, and he's fighting the winner of that fight. And then I presume he would fight a voluntary or a mandatory, and that will not be against Chris Eubank Jr. Right? So that fight is not at least going to be happening for at least another year. And I can't see Chris Eubank Jr. hanging around waiting for that either. He claims he wants the Golovkin fight. Well, if he beats Chudinov, becomes WBA interim. Who's the regular? Is it still Danny Jacobs, WBA regular? Let me just check that shit out, actually. 1 second. I'm sure it is. Can't always be 100% sure. A lot of information to remember in the world of boxing with so many governing bodies and world titles floating about, each having their own list and their own mandatories and blah, blah, blah. Yes, I was right. Yes, Danny Jacobs is still the WBA regular champion, of course. He beat Jared Fletcher for the title. Excuse me, last year. Jared Fletcher already previously been the Billy Joe Saunders victim. Okay, so if you're Chris Eubank Jr. then and you're saying you want Golovkin, then stop calling out Billy Joe, because that's not in your line. Billy Joe's not in the WBA high rankings right now, and Chris Eubank Jr. is not high in the WBO rankings right now. They're on completely different paths to get different world titles. That is a fight for at least a year or two away. So Chris Eubank Jr., please shut up. Please stop going on about the Saunders rematch. It's not happening anytime soon. Concentrate on your own fight. To sum this up, can he beat Chudinov this weekend? Yes, he can. Right? But what I don't want to see is Chris Eubank Jr. get in the ring, start all that cocky shit, right? Doing all this, all that bollocks, making yourself look a prat at world level. I don't want to see that. What I want to see is a committed Chris Eubank Jr. get into that ring, focus from the first bell to the last, and do what he can do, which is completely outbox Chudinov and box Chudinov into mistakes. Chris Eubank Jr. has got the speed advantage in this fight. He's got the movement advantage in this fight. He's got the technique advantage in this fight. All right? He's probably got the power advantage too, to be fair. I think Chudinov hits quite hard himself, but combined with the speed, Chris Eubank Jr. can hit really hard. So, he's got so many advantages in this fight. So what I don't want to see him do is I just don't want to see him get into that ring and be a cock. Just get into that ring and be a professional fighter. Show some respect to your opponent. Do what you can do and box properly. Outbox this opponent and then move on to bigger things from there. Don't get in that ring, be stupid, get cocky, because one day, and it will happen to him, he's going to do that shit and he's going to get caught. Alright, he's going to get caught by a hard-hitting fighter and he's going to get caught cold. And then he's going to have the world laughing at him. It's bad enough he's already got a negative fan base, right, in the UK because of the antics of him and his father. Alright, me, I can look past that shit. I don't bother. Alright, I get put off by certain fighters' antics out the ring and what they say in their interviews and all that. Right, and I'm honest about that. But when a fighter is in a ring, I'm going on talent, I'm going on what he's doing, I'm going on how he's progressing. I'm not going on what his father is saying or what he's doing in the corner or whether his dad gets in again and does this stupid little pose in a tuxedo. Nah, I'm not judging on that. I'm just judging on the fighter. He's an arrogant bellend, right? I think, He kind of reminds me of how James DeGale was a little bit a few years ago. So I think Christian Eubank Jr. needs to just get his head down and just box, just fight, stop the stupidity. Okay, do what DeGale's done even. Just get out of the limelight a little bit. Yeah, after the hype before the Billy Joe Saunders fight, just concentrate on you. Get yourself to where you need to be. Then move back on to the bigger things, because he is a talented fighter. He's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of potential. All right, and he's still only 24, 25. He's got all the quality in the world to be a future British world champion for Britain. Just fight though. Just stop the bullshit and just be professional. Let me know what you guys think. Drop me a comment, subscribe, whatever. I know there's a lot of frustration surrounding Chris Eubank Jr., so I'm expecting if people do drop some comments on this video, I would expect a bit of negativity, which which is not surprising to anybody. Anyway, thanks for listening. Peace.